I'm Connor Old, and welcome back to a solo episode, a very special episode of Old Oscar Countdown. Coming to you not on the usual Monday, because this is an extra video. Don't worry, there's still going to be a video Monday, but this is going to be the Golden Globes predictions video. Actually, this upcoming Monday is the Golden Globes nominations are going to be coming out. On Monday, I'm going to be doing a full-fledged episode, including the SAG nominations predictions, a documentary predictions, but also giving you some reactions to the Golden Globe nominations. That's not this video. This video is going to be just the general Golden Globe predictions. I'm going to go through all the categories, not give possible contenders for each category, but just give my picks for each category, why I think. So sit down, relax. We're going to go through all the different categories for the Globes. The caveat being it's only going to be a film, not the TV side, just because this is a film-based channel. So jumping over now into the very first topic, the very first one, the big one I guess you would say, which is Best Film Drama. And my frontrunner right now is going to be Marriage Story. This is one that I feel confident will get nominated. Some people think it's maybe not the type of Globes movie, but it's actually kind of what I think is the kind of Globes movie, in the sense that it is sort of acting dominated. And most of the times the movies that win either Best Motion Picture Film Drama or Best Film Comedy, they often have strong acting in them, and oftentimes get carried with an acting award. So if you look at something like last year, Bohemian Rhapsody got Best Film Drama, but it also got Rami Malek. Green Book and had, Mahershala, and then one, of course, got comedy. And then the year before that, Saoirse Ronan had Lady Bird, and Lady Bird won for Best Comedy. And then Three Billboards won for Best Film Drama, and had Frances and Sam. So there's always usually that sort of carrying around. So I'm looking at some of my acting categories, which people who I think are going to win and which are not. There could be very much a narrative where Marriage Story disappoints. I mean, I know that was one of my dark horse predictions, but I think the Globes may really appreciate this. It has sort of the right combination that I think they'll appreciate for sure. So you have this sort of acting support. So I think that Marriage Story has a good chance to get an acting win, and then I can see it maybe even getting a screenplay and sort of just trudging ahead, while also maybe not competing in the director category, so they can give, one of their other favorites a director. It just sort of fits in here, and I think Marriage Story is going to get in here. And, my final, I don't want to know my final Golden Globes predictions in terms of the final award show. That will be another show as well, but that's later down the line. My next pick is going to be, and also, like I said at the top, I shall say, I'm not going to go full in-depth analysis. Some of these I'm just going to go sort of quickly through and just, say certain things about the Globes, like they do like their celebrities, which transitions to my next pick, The Irishman. I think this gets in. I don't think it wins just yet, but I do think they want sort of the big four in Scorsese, De Niro, Pacino, and Pesci all the award show, because they do like their celebrities. I think it's going to be a great picture for them, and I think The Irishman will resonate to the sort of older members, which is most of the HFPA, Hollywood Foreign Press Association, which is the voting body which votes on the Golden Globes, which, if you don't know from the Oscars is about 3,000 members of the Academy. The HFPA, I believe, only has about 80 people, so it's drastically less. So in a lot of ways, you can sort of campaign, and the campaigning actually does matter, because you can actually get in front of every single voter and make your case. It's physically possible, where the Academy is just not. My next pick is going to be sort of the Rising 1917. I think this fits into the sort of Dunkirk or Hacksaw Ridge sort of war slot that they like. They appreciate Sam Mendes. They nominated something like Revolutionary Road when that was an Oscar contender, and of course American Beauty. And then I'm also going to go with Joker. This is, to sort of get rid of the critical people that really just hate on it, and sort of it's easy to get sort of entrenched into that internet mentality that people just don't like this movie. People really love this movie. It's made $1 billion. It's got a great cinema score, and just the people who actually see it, the audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, for example, is high. And I think this sort of just fits the pop sensibilities that the Golden Globes generally do. The Oscars are maybe a little bit more political or critical based, where the Golden Globes may be a little bit closer to the general people. That's oftentimes the TIFF People's Choice Award often wins, whether it be Three Billboards or Green Book. So that's something to keep in mind. And then my final slot, I'm going to give it to Little Women. My assumption being that they liked Greta Gerwig enough that they gave, Lady Bird the win. So I think if they like Greta and they like Lady Bird, they'll probably like Little Women, and enough to be sort of, the cast is amazing. So they want to nominate the film so that they can get Laura Dern and Meryl Streep and Timothée Chalamet and all these great young actresses, and then of course Emma Watson and Saoirse Ronan and everyone else on the stage at the show, because they do sort of like their celebrities in that sense, and it's just a great ensemble cast. Now jumping over into Best Film. Best Film Drama Actor. My first pick is going to be Joaquin Phoenix for Joker. This just makes sense because he does the most out of all the acting nominees. He loses weight, he goes crazy, he does his transformation, he's very physical in a lot of ways. I think they'll be so impressed by him, and of course has that legacy of Heath Ledger and him doing his sort of own thing on it, his own take. I think they want to finally, they actually have rewarded Joaquin before for Walk the Line, but so I think they like him. I think they like him enough to give him the win. My next pick, Adam Driver for Marriage Story. Like I said, I think Marriage Story should do well here. If not, this is a film with the two leads that very much should get nominated. He is theoretically a dark horse, and he'll get swept by the film because he is doing a lot, but not sort of a transformative role the same way Joaquin is. And then we also have Antonio Banderas for Pain and Glory. I think he's sort of has a great narrative of sort of the comeback that we also always like to see. And I think Pain and Glory is a film that should get nominated for Best Foreign Film, so they should see it. And I think Antonio Banderas is doing something so different than what his sort of celebrity charming persona is like, that when they see the movie, they'll be impressed, and then when they meet him, they'll be like, oh my God, he's so charming, he's just the best. I think he's going to get nominated here. Next pick, Robert De Niro for The Irishman. He's fallen a little bit just because I'm not sure, 100% sure he's going to get nominated here, even though I think they like The Irishman because he's really the person you connect with. His last hour is just all about him and sort of reflection through his eyes. That being said, he is someone that's not going to campaign, which does hurt on the globe, because if you're not in front of them, if you're not in parties, that just makes it a little bit harder. And then my final pick, I'm going to go with Christian Bale for Ford v Ferrari. I think that there is some Ford v Ferrari love. I think some people think it's going to get in for Best Picture drama. So if that were to happen, I think Christian Bale gets in here. The sort of general consensus is that he is the lead, even though Matt Damon is campaigning with it. But he is sort of the person you're in the car with. He is the face. He's, once again, losing a lot of weight, using his accent, that is naturally born accent, not an American accent, and just sort of is really dynamic in the movie. So I can see them nominating him there. And then Best Film Drama Actress, Best Lead Actress in a Film Drama. My sort of obvious pick, and the one I think is definitely going to win, is Rene Zellweger for Judy. This movie was made for the Globes. I mean, they love Rene. She's already won 3 Golden Globes before. She's playing, an older real-life movie star in Judy Garland. She sings herself. This is just the type of role they love. Check it off. She's going to get nominated, and she's probably going to win. Scarlett Johansson for Marriage Story. There could be a situation where they like Jojo Rabbit enough that they want to give her that. But my sort of thinking is they do like Marriage Story enough that they'll want to give her nominated. The issue would be, maybe her not winning, would be that most people, sort of the criticism of the film is that it's from Adam Driver's perspective and they don't give a lot of time to Scarlett. That's debatable, but I think she does enough, and her character Nicole is so well realized, and she has these great monologue scenes, these crying scenes, and it's just so emotional. It's going to get nominated, I think. Then we also have Charlize Theron for Bombshell, and any other year this is a guaranteed lock of a win, but because of Renee Zellweger, I don't think she does win, and because of the lack of strength of the film, I think she does ultimately actually get nominated though, because she's playing this incredible, transformative, scarily accurate real-life performance. She's sort of the epitome of movie star charisma. She's already won before at the Globe, so they like her, we know that. And I think she's had a good year this year with that, and then Bombshell, and then Long Shot as well. So I think they want her at the award show, and they've nominated her before for things like Tully and whatnot she hasn't been nominated at the Oscars, for example. So they do like her, I think, a little bit more than the Oscars. Then I'm going to go with Saoirse Ronan for Little Women. Same sort of conventional wisdom as Greta Gerwig. They like the film because they should like the film because they like Lady Bird. They gave her the award for Saoirse the award for Lady Bird. So I think the nomination here as a sort of lead character in this wide ensemble should be good for a nomination. And then my final pick is going to be Lupita Nyong'o for Us. Like I said before, I think they're a little bit more of a pop sensibility. I think this is a film that, despite it being so long ago, everyone saw it. It did do very well at the box office. It was very well anticipated. And Lupita was a standout, at least for me, because of she's playing 2 different characters. She's doing so much. And I think this is one of the ones that, oh, right. For example, Daniel Kaluuya for Get Out. Not a lot of people thought he was in the Oscar race until he was. And I think Lupita can follow a similar trajectory that, people and the critics have been sort of building her up like, hey, remember Lupita, she's so amazing in this movie. Okay, the Globes seem like a great fit, and then maybe that starts her campaign really well. All right, now jumping over into Best Film Comedy. My first pick is Jojo Rabbit. I believe in Jojo Rabbit. I have been saying that since the beginning. I think it does well here at the Globes, and the Globes definitely do sort of like their sweeps in terms of getting multiple wins in terms of a full sweeping of a category. So I wouldn't be surprised if it gets this, and then maybe, you know, a screenplay as well, and for ultimately the win. That would sort of go against traditional wisdom, but maybe surprises with an acting nomination. Maybe it does very well in terms of getting 3 acting nominations, which is very plausible. But I think that this is being the TIFF People's Choice winner. The last 2 Golden Globe, well, I guess last year, Green Book, it won the Golden Globe for Best Film Comedy. The year before that, 3 Golden Awards outside of Missouri, 1 for Best Film Drama. Both of them were TIFF People's Choice winners. I think they like JoJo enough that they could actually win, and definitely for the nomination. And then the next pick's going to be, of course, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. They do like Tarantino. They have rewarded him before. It's the ultimate movie star movie, and they love their celebrities. They want Leo there. They want Brad Pitt there. They want Margot there. They want Quentin there. Similar to The Irishman, they want that sort of picture, that glamour, that Hollywood star, a movie about Hollywood. It should get nominated, although I don't think it's as sort of maybe universally loved as some critics make it seem, because it is has less Tarantino-isms than some of his other, say, Pulp Fictions and Reservoir Dogs and things that he's sort of been quote-unquote known for, his sort of snappy dialogue and things like that. It's a little bit more reflective in that sense. So maybe it's not as accessible. That could be an issue, that maybe it's not as beloved for ultimately get the win. The bit of a surprise being Rocketman. This is just because this is sort of the movie made for this type of age range. It's, you know, has the Elton John songs, which this sort of age range of the HFPA should love. Taron Egerton and Elton John have been campaigning all the time. This sort of fits into the Bohemian Rhapsody slot really beautifully. I think this gets in here, and it should get a couple other nominations too, even though that's not really going to be an Oscar movie, so we think. And the next pick is going to be Dolemite Is My Name. I think they like the factor of Eddie coming back. I think that Eddie is going to get nominated eventually. You know, I'm going to say that. And I think this is a movie about making movies, and it's got so much joy in it. It's so much fun, and it's a total blast. I think they're going to really respond to that. And then Hustlers, I think this sort of fits into the sort of female cast element that they really like, whether it be Spy or Bridesmaids. It should get a couple other nominations as well. It's sort of the fierce crime drama that's really entertaining and is a surprise box office hit. It's the type of movie they like to reward, and I actually feel confident it's going to get in here as well. Now jumping over into Best Lead Actor in a Film that's a comedy or a musical. I always sort of mess those up, but my first pick is going to be Eddie Murphy for Dolemite Is My Name. Like I said, for Dolemite, I think this sort of narrative that's similar to Rene, the comeback of Eddie coming back. He has this very serious moments. It's about an actor and just doing whatever you can, and has this really positive, uplifting message. And really do great coming out of the theater. I think this is, and they love their celebrities. Eddie hasn't been there for a while. He's been acting in a while. This is sort of a great triumphant comeback, a narrative that they love. Check in Eddie at least for the nomination, but I think for the win right now. My next pick is actually going to be Taron Egerton for Rocketman. I think he's been campaigning so much and has been on the ground and been in front of people. He sings, he does. There's so many range of emotions. I think they'll really like Rocketman as well. I think he gets in here. Leonardo DiCaprio for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He hasn't made a movie in 5 years, and the last time he was at the Globes, he won. Who knows when he's going to come back? They want to nominate him just to have him, the ultimate, maybe the biggest movie star in the world, at their show. Why not? And they do like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and he has some funny scenes, and of course he's playing an actor, so they should like that as well. Then I'm going to go with Daniel Craig for Knives Out. Some people think this movie is going to be more popular than it is and should get some more nominations, maybe into film and maybe a couple others. I'm less so sure about it, but I do feel confident in Daniel Craig because he has these great big monologues. He does a southern accent. His James Bond movie's coming out, so there's lots of Daniel Craig in our lives. That should definitely push him over the edge for the nomination at the very least. And my final pick is going to be a little bit of a dark horse. I'm going to go with Shia LaBeouf for The Peanut Butter Falcon. I think this is a movie that people have been underrated, even though the sort of audience score and people really love this movie and it did so well at the box office, and was kind of surprised, even though it wasn't, say, critically written about in that sort of circle. That being said, I think he's been also campaigning for Honey Boy, which is out in theaters now. So I think finally, he's just been so ever present. I think they want to nominate Shia here for sort of both movies, but Peanut Butter Falcon is more likely, I think. Now, jumping over into Best Lead Actress in a Film. comedy. My first pick is going to be Awkwafina for The Farewell. We haven't talked about The Farewell so much because it's actually in the foreign category for the Globes. It's not the Oscars, but still, they should like the movie, and they should like Awkwafina. They've liked her, you know, in movies that they liked before, something like in Ocean's 8. And I think that she's, out of all these people here, the most likely in terms of getting an Oscar nomination. So if she doesn't win here, that will be a telling sign. If she doesn't get nominated, that'll be even more telling. But they should like the film, and she is sort of the main audience conduit for the film. And then the next pick is going to be Emma Thompson for Late Night. I think they love Emma Thompson. I think they want to reward her, even, you know, I think certain things that will even help her, like people are starting to watch Love Actually, which she's so great in. And the film, even though it's sort of okay, I think that she does sort of enough of a performance in the movie that still people will remember it. My next pick is going to be Constance Wu for Hustlers. She was nominated for Crazy Rich Asians. I think they'll like the movie. This should sort of make sense here because she is sort of the main character, and she does sort of go through this, you know, innocence to sort of a hard criminal, I guess, in a way. Even though Jennifer Lawrence is the more dynamic, she's sort of the main character of the movie. I think she gets in here as well. And then my final two slots, I'm going to give it to the Booksmart girls in Beanie Feldstein and Caitlin Dever. And I think it's either both of them get in or none of them get in. I think some people think maybe Beanie has a higher likelihood. I think so, maybe too as well. But I think that maybe they don't like the film to nominate enough, but I think those two girls are just so charming in the film, and they're really just the 1-2 punch of the film. And the reason you like the film is because of her and of course the great writing. And I think that this is a sort of cute couple that the Globes really want to sort of reward, and I think they should. I mean, give it a fun pick that probably won't happen at the Oscars. I hope it happens here because that's a great movie. All right, and now best. I guess we'll jump over now to Best Supporting Actor. So there's not a different sort of supporting actor drama or supporting actor comedy or musical. It's just supporting actor or supporting actress. So a lot of them will be similar to my predictions videos, but for supporting actor, frontrunner being Brad Pitt for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. The total movie star performance, it's not as much as a lot as you think, and sort of I've been making it seem in some of maybe at the Oscars, because the Globes sort of very rarely give someone another Globe again, because he actually won for 12 Monkeys back in where it was 95. So it has been enough time. He has sort of aged in sort of a different way. He has a completely different performance than that movie. I still think he actually gets the win here. My next pick will be Tom Hanks for A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, playing a real life person. They like him. He's been nominated in times when he wasn't nominated for the Oscars, like something like a Captain Phillips. He's so charming. He's in Toy Story 4 as well. It's great to sort of double up in that nomination there. I think Hanks gets in. And I'm also going to go with Al Pacino and Joe Pesci for The Irishman. Like I said before, I think they want that picture. I think Al's doing a lot, but Joe finally coming back and in more of a quiet role. It sort of fits both sort of narratives. I think both of them get in. And then my final slot is going to go Anthony Hopkins for The Two Popes. This was a movie I thought would do well at the Globes, but has sort of decreased in my estimation as other movies like 1917 have been rising. But I still think he's, you know, if Jonathan Pryce can get in, then Anthony Hopkins is definitely getting in, because he's more of the... Jonathan Pryce is very much a more a quieter kind of, plays a quieter role, where Anthony Hopkins sort of plays a little, I guess, sort of goofy, kind of a role, and sort of an eccentric kind of a role. And that is a little bit more showy that for him to get nominated. Plus, he's a legendary actor. Why not, right? Then Best Supporting Actress, my frontrunner is going to be Laura Dern for Marriage Story. I think this is sort of the Marriage Story narrative that it gets the acting win and then maybe also gets the picture. I believe that the Golden Globes love Laura Dern, like I talked about in my Best Supporting Actress category. So she should be good for here, even though maybe the conventional wisdom tells you to think of my next pick, which is Jennifer Lopez for Hustlers. Almost messed it up like I did in the last video. This is a dynamic performance, a fierce performance. I think they like Hustlers. She's just, you know, pouncing and sort of walks around in such a physical energy throughout the film, ready to strike at any time, elusive and mysterious, and just a beautiful, wonderful performance. And they do like their pop stars, whether it be Lady Gaga or Madonna or Cher or even J.Lo, who they've nominated before. So this is definite for a nomination. Could be a win, but I think they just love Laura Dern too darn much. Then I'm going to go with Margot Robbie for Bombshell. They like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but they don't like that movie enough to sort of split the vote between that and Bombshell. she's doing so much. She's the young up-and-comer. They liked her for I, Tonya, and I think that she's sort of one of the next big movie stars, so why not have her on a show? She's, right now, that sort of symbolic Once Upon a Time in Hollywood poster that I've been saying. It's her, DiCaprio, and Pitt. She's up there right now. She's a huge deal. They want her on her show. Then we have Florence Pugh for Little Women. Similar assumption, if they like Lady Bird, they should like this. They do sort of like these devilish kind of roles. Florence Pugh's had a great year this year. She's a great young up-and-comer. The Black Widow trailer dropped when she's in it, and the assumption that people are thinking is that she's going to be the next Black Widow. So we'll see. But speaking of the original Black Widow, Scarlett Johansson for Jojo Rabbit is my next nomination, which is a bit of a surprise. Will they nominate her 2 times? I think so. It's not unregular necessarily. Meryl Streep's done it 3 times. Jamie Foxx has done it. Leonardo DiCaprio has done it. When people have good years, they do want to reward her, and I think that Jojo Rabbit is just so beloved. This slot is still sort of up in the air. Is it going to be a net betting for the report? That doesn't seem the type of movie they love. Zhao Shuzhen for The Farewell, maybe, but they want a little bit more of a name. Why not just give it to Scarlett again for Jojo Rabbit, and that will really signify that Jojo Rabbit is a beloved movie. And then, if someone like Roman Griffin Davis, the kid from Jojo Rabbit, gets nominated for Best Supporting or Best Lead Actor Comedy Musical and beats out sort of someone like a Shia LaBeouf, that would really show that they would love the movie. But right now, I don't have that. But I do have Scarlett Johansson here for Jojo Rabbit. And then going over into Best Director, I think it's going to be Martin Scorsese for The Irishman. They've given him the Cecil B. DeMille Award. They've given him 3 Oscars here, even for something like Gangs of New York, which he didn't win ultimately for. This is someone they love. This is sort of a reflection. It's the type of movie that he's known for, the gangster epic, and with the people he's known for, but then sort of doing a unique take on it. I think if The Irishman doesn't win for Best Film Drama, they want to give them the reward here. That just makes sense to give it to Scorsese here, and the respect is given. Then we have Quentin Tarantino for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which I don't think he's definitely loved, and he should get a director nomination here. Not as much as a slam dunk, I think, for a win, because I just don't believe in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood as much for the Globes, unfortunately. Then I'm going to go with Sam Mendes for 1917. I think sort of the feat of directing this movie is so high, and that even though maybe they won't love the movie as much, I think they'll be so appreciated with what he did that they have to give him a nomination. And like I said, they did like Revolutionary Road, and then of course gave him the win for American Beauty in '99. Then we have Taika Waititi for Jojo Rabbit, which I'm a believer in for the Oscars and the Globes. I think they really like this movie here. I think they love Taika in general as a person. Give him the nom here. And my final slot, I was going up, I wasn't sure, is it Bong Joon-ho? Do they really like Parasite enough? Ultimately, I'm going to go with Noah Baumbach, because I think Marriage Story, out of something like Little Women or Joker or Parasite, is, at least my prediction, is going to be a stronger movie in general compared to those movies. I also think that, in situations where the director doesn't get nominated at the Oscars but does at the Globes, even though their films are strong. So, for example, Peter Farrelly didn't get nominated for Best Director, but did get nominated for Best Director at the Golden Globes. Similar to Martin McDonagh for 3 Billboards, he did get nominated at the Globes. So even if a movie doesn't have sort of a distinct maybe visual style that maybe Noah Baumbach has necessarily, but the film's still strong, they still nominate for Best Director. So that's why I'm going to go with Noah Baumbach here for this final slot. Now for Best Screenplay, so there's not adapted and original, it's just general Best Screenplay. My winner is going to be Jojo Rabbit, because I think they like Taika, and if they don't want to reward him, I think they're going to want to reward him for picture, but they're probably not going to give it to him for director. Definitely has a unique writing style and great jokes, and it's funny, and that sort of fits in for Best Original Screenplay. They'll give it to him here. But they could very much give it to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood for Quentin Tarantino, because they do love Tarantino, and he's known for his screenplays, but definitely get in here. Noah Baumbach, also known for his screenplays, sort of a Woody Allen type people compare him to. So Marriage Story, with sort of wilding sort of honest truths of the emotional moments to sort of physical comedy and certain unique elements of the film, I think will get him the nomination here. Then we also have The Irishman, Steve Zalian. So not Martin Scorsese, but I think this will sort of show that the movie is beloved enough, and based off the book that people have always been talking about, which was an international bestseller, and I Heart You Paint Houses. And then my final slot's going to go to The Two Popes, which is just a movie that, I think this is sort of the place to really reward that movie and give it the final nomination, because they could like Jonathan Pryce and Anthony Hopkins, they couldn't get in for Best Film Drama, and therefore it should get in for here. It also has sort of this sort of back and forth dialogue, almost like I might have dinner with Andre in a sense, sort of faith issues, but also certain comedic elements. So I think, and they also like, even though they haven't nominated the writer before, Anthony McCartan, they like his movies in Darkest Hour, The Theory of Everything, and of course last year's Bohemian Rhapsody. Now jumping over to Best Animated Feature, I'm going to go with Toy Story 4. Don't overthink it. When Pixar gets nominated, they like it here. The general conventional wisdom is that the Globes and the Oscars sort of line up in that sense. Give it to, even though they have rewarded How to Train Your Dragon 2, and they like that series, Toy Story is more beloved. And then we have Frozen 2, which is on everyone's minds. So of course that's going to get nominated, and of course Disney Animation. I said How to Train Your Dragon, they like that series, final end to the trilogy. Abominable, I think is going to get nominated. I think they're a little bit more general, they're less independent than the Oscars animated branch. And they're going to go to things like, oh, my kid saw that, he enjoyed it, give it the nomination. And my final slot is actually going to go with Weathering with You. I wasn't sure if I should go with another more traditional things than like The Addams Family or Missing Link, but I want to think that, you know, they do reward things like Mirai and whatnot. They don't necessarily shy away from anime. So I believe in Makoto Shinaki enough to hopefully get in here, and the sort of benefit of Your Name being in everyone's minds. Best Foreign Film. The lead is still going to be Parasite because it's been in the Oscar conversation for so many other categories that even though I'm not super confident in it at the Globes, it should win. And if Bong Joon-ho gets in for director, most definitely should win. Pain and Glory from Pedro Almodovar. This is a film that people think he might even get in for director. It definitely feels like more of an Oscar movie, but I think out of all of his movies, he's been nominated 6 times. He's won twice. That includes for like foreign language film where technically the country wins, but it's his film that wins, whether it's Tie Me Up, Tie Me Down, or All About My Mother or whatnot. So he should get it in, that movie should get it for there, and then if Antonio Banderas is going to get in for Best Lead, makes sense. And then I'm going to go with Les Miserables. This is not sort of the play, it's sort of a French film, and actually the French Oscar submission over the critically acclaimed portrait of Lady on Fire, which some people think is get nominated here, but I think that people know that Les Miserables is the France's selection, and they want to sort of predict the Oscars in a certain way. They do like to go their own way, but sometimes they like to predict the Oscars, so that's why I'm going with this French film over the other portrait of Lady on Fire. And, you know, Les Miserables is not sort of this drag of a movie. It is sort of urban and you know, political in the sense that I don't think it's going to be a hard watch for some of the people. Enough to really be like, okay, I guess we have to go for this. And then my final pick is going to be from Sweden, And Then We Danced, about 2 dancers and sort of their love affair. It's sort of supposed to be seen as sort of an upbeat film, but still has some tragic elements to it. The Golden Globes tastes are generally a little bit more European, so this makes sense to be that final nomination versus something like a Monos or Atlantics, which they very much could do, and that's more of the critically acclaimed choice, and maybe they go Portrait of Lady on Fire and Atlantics because it's the more critically loved. I'm not exactly sure about that, you know, so I'm going to go with And Then We Danced. Then we also have Best Original Score. My first pick is going to be 1917 from Thomas Newman. They love their guys. Thomas Newman has been nominated 14 times, never won at the Oscars. Similar situation with the Globes. So this is a movie that they should like, with a sort of recognizable score from a recognizable figure. Check it in, and a movie that they like, hopefully. At least by my predictions, they like. Then we have Alexandre Desplat for Little Women. He should get nominated because, once again, he's won 2 Oscars, he's won 2 Globes, he's been nominated a bunch of times. They like him, they should like the movie, just makes sense. Then we have Randy Newman for Marriage Story. Like I said, I think they like the movie. He's been nominated for Best Score a few times at the Globes. Of course, he's won for the first 2 Toy Story movies in terms of the songs. So I think they'll like Marriage Story enough, and the recognizable, really great score from the movie that it should get in for the nomination. Joker is the next one from Hildur. I don't want to say the last name because I don't know how to pronounce it. This is the movie that sort of has the most dramatic, in-your-face score that I think they'll really appreciate. There is sort of the needle drops in the movie, but there is these sort of really sort of string-based, creepy, dramatic elements that they'll appreciate from Joker. I think that gets in. And then my final slot's a little bit of a dark horse. I'm going to go with Jojo Rabbit from Michael Giacchino. They like Michael Giacchino. He's been nominated before. I believe he's won before for Up. And I think they'll like the film enough that if this gets in here, they'll really like the film. You can definitely see it winning at least something. And then I guess the final category we're going to be talking about is Best Original Song. I don't know these well enough, so I'm just going to read them. I don't know the names. So first one's going to be Rocketman, I'm Gonna Love Me Again. The Finally, the studios have finally gotten smarter and they're only campaigning one song from each movie instead of multiple, which cancels out their chances. So I think Rocketman, like I said, has been campaigning a lot, should get in for the nomination here. And they want to see Elton John there win, and Taron Egerton maybe go up as well and maybe sing at the show. Who knows? That'd be probably a lot of fun for them. Frozen 2, Into the Unknown. Not the phenomenon that Let It Go has been, but probably if you have a young child, for example, or a niece or nephew or even grandparents, or grandchildren, excuse me, they're probably playing it all the time, and you would probably have it stuck in your head, so you'll probably nominate it. The assumption is that Frozen has good songs. Boom, Into the Unknown should get in. Toy Story 4, I Can't Let You Throw Yourself Away. The first two, like I said, Toy Story songs were one, actually. The third one wasn't nominated, but won at the Oscars. If they like Randy Newman enough, they should nominate him here. I don't think it's going to win. Toy Story 4 should just get animated. That should be its, I guess, probably reward. Harriet, Stand Up. Every year there's sort of either a stand-up or I'll Fight Back. There was Stand Up for Something from Marshall. There was I'll Fight from RJB, sort of this sort of powerful ballad about fighting the injustice of the system. Harriet, Stand Up fits it beautifully right there. And Cynthia Riva, who maybe could get nominated for Best Lead Actress. The film has done so well. She's going to be singing the song as well, so maybe it's a good fit. My final pick is Cats, Beautiful Ghosts. Why haven't I talked about Cats? It could be the surprise nomination, be like, oh, Francesca Hayward got nominated, and it gets in for picture, and then Tom Hooper for director. Who knows? It's the type of movie they should like, but I can't imagine anyone watching that trailer being like, this is an amazing movie. It may just be sort of a roll your eyes kind of thing. I haven't seen the movie. We talked about it maybe not make the deadline, the assumption that it will make the deadline. At the very least, it should get in for here for Andrew Lloyd Webber, at the very least. But who knows, maybe James Corden will show up for Best Supporting Actor and surprise us all. But that's what's so much fun about the Globes and the Oscars and predictions is you'll never know. So please let me know in the comments down below your thoughts. Stay tuned to Monday where I give my Golden Globes reactions as well as my SAG nominations predictions as well as my documentary predictions, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss a video. That's about it. Until next time, stay tuned.